The day I got out on bail and went back to the office, my mother-in-law dropped to her knees the second she saw me. Ethan, honey, we were wrong about you this past year. Please, you gotta help the company. Even my icy ex-wife, Brittany, was all smiles and apologies, standing next to her. I just laughed. A year ago, I fixed the massive security hole her golden boy childhood friend left wide open, saving the company from going under. But because of one lie from that jerk, she twisted everything around and pressed charges against me. He became the hero who saved the day, and I was the criminal who caused the damage. So now, you want me to fix his mistakes again, so you can throw me back in the slammer? I tossed a divorce agreement onto the table. Sign it. Ethan, I already apologized. What more do you want? Brittany's smile faded as she looked at the divorce papers on the desk. Sign it. I said it again, cold as ice. Even now, she didn't want to believe I wasn't the one who screwed things up a year ago. A year ago, I was dragged down to the company's security office and left to rot all night before Brittany finally showed up. Ethan, what the hell were you thinking? If Chad hadn't found it in time and covered up your tracks, you'd be doing serious time, you know that? Every word Brittany said made sense, but somehow they didn't make sense together. Brittany, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Chad covered up my tracks. Ethan, come on, don't play dumb. I've got proof you sold the company's source code to our competitors, and you were crazy enough to try to take the whole company down with you. You know that's a felony, right? Brittany was screaming at this point. I tried one more time, saying what I'd already said a million times. Brittany, I got a call from the cleaning guy, Mr. Henderson, in the middle of the night. Call Mr. Henderson, and you'll know I'm telling the truth. I've said it a million times. I went back to the office because the server was down. I fixed the vulnerability. Before me, Chad was the only one in the server room. Mr. Henderson's on vacation. It's just like Chad said, you're trying to blame some guy we can't get a hold of to buy yourself some time. And now you're trying to pin it on Chad. If he hadn't covered for you, you'd be looking at 15 years minimum. Ethan, I'm so disappointed in you. I don't even remember leaving the office that night. I just remember feeling numb. The next morning, there was an announcement on the company's internal message board. Ethan Hayes, head of network security, made a critical error, leading to a server breach and the theft of company source code. The company's stock tanked after the breach. Everyone's bonuses were cancelled, and their performance-based pay was cut in half. Suddenly, I was public enemy number one. I kept calling and texting Brittany, but she wouldn't answer. Finally, late that night, she came home, smelling like booze. And I saw it, clear as day, a fresh hickey on her neck. Brittany, I need to talk to you. I said it straight away when she got in. She just gave me a cold look, didn't say a word, and went straight to the bedroom, locking the door behind her. I sat on the couch all night, and the first thing I saw when I unlocked my phone in the morning was a trending headline. Cold Tech heiress Brittany Coldwell and tech whiz Chad Matthews join forces to revolutionize cybersecurity. The article included a photo of the two of them at some fancy gala, raising glasses to the crowd. Brittany was wearing a low-cut dress, Chad's arm wrapped around her waist. They were standing close, looking into each other's eyes, all lovey-dovey. It hit me like a punch to the gut. Brittany finally came out of the bedroom, all made up and dressed to kill. She was obviously going to meet him. What is going on here? Before I knew it, Brittany's face turned hard and cold. Ethan, how dare you question me? If you hadn't screwed up the company's stock, I wouldn't have to do any of this. Thank God Chad had a plan, came up with this image fix. Listening to Brittany, my chest got tighter and tighter. I told you, I didn't sell anything. I didn't do anything. The day before yesterday was our anniversary. I was waiting for you at the restaurant. Just pull the security footage, and you'll see. That's when Brittany exploded, storming over and slapping me across the face. Ethan, I don't know where you got this security footage nonsense, but I'm telling you, if it gets investigated, and the evidence is found, you're looking at 15 years in prison. Chad worked so hard to make it look like an accident. Why are you still arguing? My face was burning. Brittany, how many times do I have to say it? I didn't do it. If you didn't do it, why were you in the server room? I can't believe I was so blind. You knew the evidence was gone, so you figured you could deny everything. You don't deserve to be my husband. Let's get a divorce. A divorce agreement and a termination notice. My hands were shaking as I held those two documents, my head spinning. Brittany and I built this company from the ground up, and now, because of one lie from her childhood friend, she hadn't even bothered to ask or consider my explanation. She'd just thrown me out, looking for evidence. I took a chance and snuck into the company's security room. Sure enough, the security footage, the server logs, everything was wiped clean. And Chad had been careful, doing everything while the server was supposedly down. It could all be explained as server failure. It was a planned attack, but Brittany couldn't see it. Finally, I found something. The day of the incident, Chad had sent all the security guards home on vacation. After everyone left, only he and Brittany were in the office. I copied that log onto a flash drive I kept on me, thinking I could use it as proof. But the second I put the flash drive away, the security room door swung open. Ethan, I can't believe you're still trying this. Coming back to steal company secrets. Chad came in, followed by a bunch of security guards smirking. With a wave of his hand, the guards swarmed me, knocking me to the ground. After a few minutes of punches and kicks, I was handcuffed. Alright, you can all go. Chad clapped his hands when he figured they had hit me enough and sent the guards away. He came over to me and grabbed a handful of my hair. I could see the pure, ugly glee in his narrow eyes. Ethan, what am I going to do with you? Chad was laughing. If you hadn't come back to the office that night, I never would have thought of such a perfect solution. Not only do I have someone to take the fall, but the company's assets are safe, and I get your wife. Ethan, you're a godsend. Chad's voice was like nails on a chalkboard. I'm making bank selling the company's source code and sleeping with your wife. You know how into it Brittany was in my bed last night? She even suggested transferring all your stock to me. I was consumed by rage. I struggled, wanting to rip Chad to shreds. Chad, I'm going to expose all of this. Ha ha ha, Ethan, you're so naive. I got rid of all the evidence. Your termination papers were signed by Brittany herself. Who do you think she's going to believe, me or you? Seeing me struggle, Chad stood up and ground his heel into my face. The only downside is, Brittany still has a soft spot for you. She wouldn't let me throw you in jail. Otherwise, it would be the perfect ending. Chad twisted his shoe into my face. I don't even remember how much torture I endured that day, but the physical pain was nothing compared to what I felt inside. Brittany had never trusted me, never even bothered to listen. She'd ignored all the warning signs, never even considered them. Maybe she never loved me. I moved out, got all my paperwork together, and got ready to sue. But on Valentine's Day, Chad posted something on social media. Spending Valentine's Day with the one you love. There weren't any faces in the photo, but the shadows, the hand holding. How could I miss it? It was Brittany, my wife. They were posing all cute, all over each other. It felt like a knife in my heart. All the years we were married, Brittany never wanted to celebrate any holidays with me. Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve, I didn't matter how much I begged, she'd always say the same thing. These holidays are meaningless. Don't ever bring them up again. She never wanted to take pictures with me, not even a simple selfie. It annoyed her to no end. There was no way she'd ever be cuddly and sweet like in that picture. She was always so distant, standing over me. I only dreamed she would lean on my shoulder. I always thought it was just her personality. So, I let her be, let her do what she wanted. Now I know, she just didn't love me. That's when I gave up and decided to fight for my name. I had to prove my innocence, but I knew I didn't have enough evidence. The key witness, Mr. Henderson, was still MIA. I sent Mr. Henderson a few last texts, then, clutching the flash drive and my paperwork, I went to the courthouse. But when I got there, I was told that since Brittany and I were married, the court was worried about potential issues and recommended mediation. I was just leaving the courthouse, about to call Brittany, when she called me. Ethan, the housekeeper said you haven't been home for days. Where have you been? Brittany's voice sounded almost soft. It brought a lump to my throat. Brittany, we're divorced. It's none of your business where I go. I heard Brittany's breath catch on the other end, and her voice sounded almost panicked. What are you talking about? Come home right now. We can go on a trip. I frowned. Brittany always did this, never caring about how I felt. If I got mad, she'd offer to take me on a trip. She knew I loved seeing new places, but what she didn't know was that I wanted to see those places with her. She'd never get it. Brittany, don't say things like that. Please just file the divorce papers. I didn't understand. Why was she still bothering me? Was I just a toy to her? Give me attention when she was bored, then throw me away when she was done? Brittany was silent for a moment. You really want a divorce? I do. Ethan, what is wrong with you? You messed up. Chad and I worked so hard to protect you. How can you pretend you're the victim? Fine. If you want a divorce, come to the office tomorrow. Then I'll sign the papers. I couldn't sleep all night. In the morning, I went to the office. I wasn't expecting it, but the company was holding a press conference. The second I walked in, the reporters swarmed me. Mr. Hayes, Tech was built on your work, and you're one of the best programmers in the industry. Why would you make such a rookie mistake? Mr. Hayes, there are rumors you were working with our competitors, selling our source code. What's your response? The reporters were all in my face. I looked around and saw all my coworkers. Their eyes were full of hate. Someone shouted, "That's the scumbag who sold out our company. Because of him, we all lost our bonuses and half our pay. Scumbag, how dare you come back here?" The voices were getting louder, filling me with bitterness. I was the one who made them money, helped them get better pay. I'd worked side by side with them for years. All it took was a few lies from Chad to wipe all that away. But I just wanted to get the divorce over with. Finally, Brittany and Chad came out. She acted like she didn't even see me, wrapping her arm around Chad as they walked to the stage. All the men in the room had to stop and look at how perfect she was. The reporter handed the microphone to Brittany, but she passed it to Chad. "I'll take it from here," he said. "We wanted to be nice and give Mr. Hayes a chance to get his life back on track. But Mr. Hayes has pushed us too far. We have no choice but to tell the truth. The truth is, Mr. Hayes abused his power and sold our source code to the competition. After he was caught, he destroyed the company's server in an attempt to hide his tracks. If I hadn't stepped in, the company would have gone bankrupt. The co-workers couldn't hold back. Lock him up. If the law wasn't protecting you, we'd kill you right now." They charged at me. Just when I thought they'd tear me apart, an old voice echoed through the room. "That's not the truth. I have proof." That old voice, Mr. Henderson.